So you know you want to cook this dish, but you don't know what meat to buy, or the meat that you're supposed to buy isn't available. Yes, I know, I even wonder sometimes. In this video I will show you the most popular German meat dishes and the meat cuts that you can use to make those. At the end of this video I will link in the top right corner a PDF cheat sheet with all this info, accessible for you with one click, completely for free, so you can store it on your phone or print it out. So let me start with the pork dishes. Schnitzel. Schnitzel should be cut as thinly as possible and gently pounded. This breaks the meat fibers slightly and prevents them from contracting when frying. Tapping also gives you an evenly thick schnitzel, and that way it's easier to cook it. In Germany, we like making our schnitzel from Oberschale and pork neck, and you might want to search for the boneless pork chops, pork neck, and some even use pork loin. I would advise against it. Pork loin is here in Germany for making medallions, and I think this is the best way to cook it. The next one is Schweinshaxe, Eisbein. So that's an easy one. You just need a pork knuckle, and that's the only meat you need to make it. And don't forget the sauerkraut and beer to drink or to make a gravy with. The next meat is Schäufelchen or Schäufele, and this is pork shoulder. For the Frankonian variation, you need pork shoulder with a bone and rind. For the Hessian Schäufelchen, you just need pork shoulder with a bone, and please don't forget to cure it before you roast it. This really makes a dish because it changes the taste, the texture and the color of the meat. Schweinegulasch. So since goulash is stewed for a long time, streaky meat is particularly suitable. So the long cooking time makes the meat very tender. To make it from pork, choose the pork shoulder without the bone, pork neck, pork chops, or pork top side, the boneless leg. Another very famous German dish, at least in some of the German regions, is the Rippchen or Kassler. To make Rippchen, you need pork chop or pork neck with bone. For Kassler, you need cured and smoked meat. And by the way, the Frankfurter Rippchen also need curing. Schweinebäckchen, this is very easy. For Schweinebäckchen, you just need the pork cheeks. And those really need to be cooked slowly and long to be tender. Schweinemedaillons are slices of the pork loin. Pork loin need to be cooked properly to turn out tender. In US, the recommendation is to cook them to an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you need 3 minutes of rest. In Germany, the 140 degrees Fahrenheit, so 60 degrees Celsius, are allowed. At this temperature, the meat is still slightly pink on the inside. Whatever rules you follow, you just want to make sure that the medallions are still pink on the inside. In Germany, we also love eating Schweinebauch, which is the pork belly. Germans either cook it, roast it, or grill it. Pork belly is perfect meat for a rich soup, but it's also popular food that Germans eat at a grill party. In this case, it is usually sliced and sometimes stuffed with minced meat. For Schweinebraten here in Germany, we use Schweineschulter, Schweinefilet or Schweinenacken. I advise you to use pork shoulder, pork neck without the bone, and pork loin. And lastly, I will be talking about the Leberkäse. So I make my Leberkäse from 100% pork, which is 50% of pork shoulder and 50% of the fatty pork belly. Okay, so now that we are done with pork, let's move on to beef dishes. Beefsteak tartare is the finest low-fat meat, which is the beef tenderloin, and obviously a fresh one. For Schmorbraten, braten or Sauerbraten, we use Rinderkeule, Rinderschulter or Tafelspitz. I would advise you to buy the rump roast, chuck roast or the beef top side. For Rindergulasch, we like using Zungenstück, Ober- and Unterschale, or even Suppenfleisch. And what the soup meat is I'm gonna explain you a bit later on. In your country, I will search for beef chuck and top round. It is better to buy a large piece of meat that you can then cut it and make a stew. For Rindergeschnitzeltes, we love using the tenderloin or the rump steak, so the steak cuts. The meat needs to be tender and still pink from the inside. It is fried very quickly, so this is definitely the best meat for it. For the Tafelspitz, so the beef topside, we obviously need a beef topside. And this is meat that has to be cooked for a longer period of time. After a few hours, it gets very tender and then it's sliced and served with a different kind of sauces or gravies. For example, Fränkisches Hochzeitsessen is served with a horseradish gravy, and the Frankfurter Grüne Soße can be also served with a slice of beef. This piece of meat we actually love to smoke, so if you wonder how to do it, just down below you're gonna find the recipe. The next very important German dish is the Rinderroulade, so the beef roll, and for this you need a top round slice. You need a long and wide slices so you can stuff them with some salt, pepper, onion, mustard, pickled cucumber, and obviously bacon. The beef rolls are really the best. To cook the Rinderbäckchen, so the beef cheeks, you obviously need the beef cheeks. Those are also braised for a longer period of time, so don't worry, they will get soft at some point. The next dish that I'm going to mention is the beef soup. So fatty, juicy and strong cuts of beef are best for a good soup or a broth. Great for soup is beef belly, top side, but also beef shank, oxtail and beef bones. And the last piece of meat that I'm going to mention is the Fleisch fondue, so the meat fondue. If you're making your fondue with oil, I would choose the tenderloin or sirloin steak, because those taste best when they deep fried in oil. If you are making meat fondue with a broth, I would choose more marbled cuts, like a marbled steak or roast beef. Those are the most suitable for the broth fondue. In the top right corner and in the description box down below, you will find a link to a PDF document that I mentioned at the beginning. Hope that this has been helpful, or at least a bit helpful. Let us know what other meat cuts you can recommend for the dishes mentioned in this video. You are such a great hobby chefs with lots of experience, so please do share and help others to find the perfect cuts for their favorite dishes. I will be also updating the PDF with your suggestions, so it will be our teamwork. Thank you very much for your support, bless you, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!